You are staring at the screen, and your thumb feels tense like it is bracing for impact. You type one line. You delete it. You type it again. You delete it again. You change one word because it sounds too needy. You change another word because it sounds cold. You add a little warmth so they do not pull away. You remove it because it looks insecure. You rewrite the same message 10 times because it feels like one wrong sentence could cost you the bond. That is the problem in plain words. Your body is acting like this text decides whether you are safe or not. And if you do this, you are not weak. You are not crazy. Your nervous system is trying to prevent loss. It is trying to avoid the moment they go quiet, go flat, or make you feel like you asked for too much. In this episode, I am going to break down what this pattern is, why your brain does it, what kind of connection makes it worse, and how to stop rewriting without becoming cold or fake. You will learn how to send one clear message, keep your dignity, and stop letting your whole day depend on a reply. If this kind of clarity helps your nervous system settle, subscribe. PsychBond is a daily decoder for psychology, relationships, and avoidant and anxious attachment patterns so you stop guessing. Now, let us name what rewriting really is. Rewriting is not just being thoughtful. Rewriting 10 times is usually a safety behavior. It is your nervous system scanning for the version of the message with the lowest risk. Lowest risk of being ignored. Lowest risk of being judged. Lowest risk of being seen as needy. Lowest risk of triggering distance. You are trying to create a sentence that guarantees the outcome you want. A reply. Warmth. Interest. Safety. You are trying to write a sentence that makes them stay close. And that is why it can feel like survival. Because your brain treats their response like a safety test. Reply means safe. No reply means danger. Short reply means danger. Slow reply means danger. Dry tone means danger. Being left on scene means danger. So you keep editing the only thing you feel you can control: your words. But here is the first truth that sets people free. In steady connections, you do not need perfect wording to be safe. You can be human. You can be direct. You can say what you feel. And the bond does not collapse. In unstable connections, wording starts to feel like life or death because the baseline is not steady. You are trying to manage uncertainty. You are trying to prevent a drop. And your body starts believing that if you can craft the perfect message, you can stop the drop. That belief makes sense, but it becomes the trap, because the real issue is rarely your wording. The real issue is the shape of the connection and the other person's capacity to show up in a steady way. So let us break down why this habit shows up so strongly in anxious attachment. There are a few common roots. One root is early learning. If you learned that love could disappear, you learned to monitor. If you learned that needs annoyed people, you learned to soften. If you learned that moods were unpredictable, you learned to read the air. A child who learns to predict a caregiver's mood often becomes an adult who tries to predict a partner's mood. Rewriting is the adult version of that. You are trying to prevent a bad reaction before it happens. Another root is performance. If you learned that being easy keeps people close, you learn to become a version of yourself that is low friction. So when you want to send a clear message, your body stops you. It says, do not be too much. Do not be too direct. Do not show how much you care. So You rewrite it into something smaller. Another route is control through self-blame. When someone is inconsistent, it hurts to accept that you cannot control their behavior. So your mind chooses the most controllable story. It must be me. If it is me, I can fix it. If I fix it, I can keep the bond. That is why you rewrite. You are trying to fix the bond by fixing your wording. Another route is fear of shame. Many anxious people are not only afraid of losing the person, they are afraid of looking foolish. They are afraid of being exposed. They are afraid of sending a message and getting silence and having to sit in that feeling. So rewriting becomes a way to reduce humiliation. You think, if I say it the right way, they will have to respond. But you cannot force someone to be considerate with wording. If someone ignores you, that is not because you used the wrong adjective. It is because they are not showing up with care. That is painful, but it is also clean information. Now, let us separate normal editing from the anxious loop. Normal editing is simple. You write it once. You change one word for clarity. You send it. You move on. The anxious loop is different. You cannot send it because you are trying to predict their reaction. You are trying to remove risk. You are trying to guarantee a reply. You can feel it in your body. Your chest is tight. Your thoughts are racing. Your mind is running outcomes. If I say this, they will think I am needy. If I say that, they will think I do not care. If I add a smile, I look insecure. If I do not add it, I look cold. This is not communication. This is threat management. Now let us talk about the triggers that make the loop explode. Because once you can name the trigger, you can stop earlier. The first trigger is uncertainty. You do not know where you stand. The bond is undefined. They are warm sometimes and distant other times. You do not know what their intentions are. So every message feels high stakes. The second trigger is after closeness. You had a good night. You felt connected. Then the next day, you feel the shift. Replies slow. Tone changes. Your body goes into alarm. You start rewriting a message that tries to pull the closeness back without sounding needy. The third trigger is wanting clarity. You want to ask, what are we? Where is this going? When will I see you next? You rewrite because you fear they will call you pressure or too much. The fourth trigger is silence. When someone goes quiet, anxious attachment often creates urgency. You want to send one more message, but you want to send the perfect one so you do not make it worse. The fifth trigger is regret after sending. You sent a message, and now your nervous system is still activated. So you reread it, and you want to fix it. You want to send a correction. You want to explain. You want to add something. That becomes rewriting after the send. Now I want to say something clearly, because it reduces shame immediately. The urge to rewrite is often the urge to calm panic. It is relief-seeking. The act of rewriting gives you a feeling of action. Action gives your body a tiny sense of control. Control feels like safety. So rewriting becomes a ritual. It is not working, but it feels like you are doing something. The problem is that it keeps you glued to the threat. Your phone becomes the threat object. You keep staring at it. You keep rehearsing rejection. You keep imagining their reaction. So instead of calming you, rewriting keeps your nervous system hot for longer. That is why you can spend 40 minutes on one sentence and still feel worse after. You never got real safety. You got temporary control. Now let us talk about the most important point. The person you are texting matters. If you only rewrite with one person, that is not random. That is data. Your nervous system does not feel safe with them. It does not mean they are evil. It means the bond is unpredictable enough that your body is trying to manage it. In a steady connection, you can send a simple text and go back to your life. In an unstable connection, your whole life starts to orbit their replies. Your appetite changes. Your sleep changes. Your mood changes based on a notification. That difference matters because it tells you this is not only a texting habit, it is a nervous system response to uncertainty. So we need a filter that helps you tell the difference between a bond that is simply new versus a bond that is unstable. In a new bond, you might feel some nerves, but their behavior still has a steady rhythm. Plans get made, they follow through. If they are busy, they communicate. In an unstable bond, you feel like you have to earn predictability. You feel like you have to manage tone. You feel like you have to be perfect. They spike and drop. They are warm, then distant. They offer vague plans. They appear when you pull away and disappear when you relax. That is the kind of bond that makes rewriting worse, because your body is reacting to real unpredictability. Now we get to the solution. I am going to keep it simple and human. The goal is not to never care. The goal is to stop treating texting like a high-stakes exam. The goal is to stop letting your worth depend on a reply. Step 1 is to catch the moment you are not texting to communicate. You are texting to calm panic. When you catch that, you pause. You do not send from panic. You settle first. Settling does not need to be complicated. Stand up and drink water. Eat something small. Walk to another room. Exhale slowly, longer than you inhale. Your body needs a safety signal before your brain can choose well. Step 2 is to stop writing inside the chat thread when you are anxious. The chat thread is part of the trigger. Move to notes if you need to write. Give yourself distance from the thread. Step 3 is to choose the purpose of the message before you choose the wording. This is the part that changes everything. There are only a few real purposes. You want connection, you want clarity, you want logistics, or you want relief. Relief is the one you do not want to feed. Connection is fine when the bond is steady. Clarity is fine when you need to know where you stand. Logistics is fine. Relief is the trap because it trains you to depend on someone else's response for regulation. So when you catch yourself rewriting, ask one question. Am I trying to communicate, or am I trying to lower panic? If it is panic, do not send. If it is clarity, send one plain message and stop. If it is connection in a steady bond, send one warm line and move on. Now, I am going to give you a small set of message templates because anxious brains do better with simple defaults. These are not magic, they are clean. Template 1 is a warm, simple message for a steady bond. Thinking of you. Hope your day is good. That is it. No extra. Template 2 is a clarity message when you need to know where you stand. I like you. I want something steady. Are you available for that with me? Then stop. Template 3 is a structure message when distance happens and you need basic respect. If you need space, tell me and give me a time you will reconnect. Then stop. These work because they do not try to manage the other person. They reveal how the other person handles closeness, accountability, and follow-through. That is what you actually need. Now, let us walk through common moments where you rewrite and what to do instead. First moment is the delayed reply. You sent a message. Hours pass. Your body starts buzzing. You feel the urge to send a second message, but you do not want to look needy. So you rewrite the second message again and again, trying to make it sound casual. That is relief-seeking. The rule is simple. Do not double text to calm panic. If you decide to send another message, do it for clarity later, not for relief now. A clean line is, "Let me know when you are free to talk." Then stop. Second moment is the morning after closeness. You had a connected night. You felt safe. Then you wake up scanning. Your body wants to restore the closeness, so you start rewriting a message that tries to pull them back, but without sounding needy. This is where you stop trying to be the perfect vibe and you use a simple structure line. "I enjoyed last night. If you need space today, tell me and give me a time you will reconnect." Third moment is wanting clarity. You want to ask, "What are we? Where is this going? Are we seeing other people? When will I see you next?" You rewrite because you fear they will call you pressure. Here is the truth. You can soften the words forever, and a person who avoids accountability will still avoid. Rewriting will not create capacity. So you ask once, in plain words, and you watch behavior. "I like you. I want something steady. Are you available for that with me?" Then you stop. Fourth moment is after tension. You are upset, but you fear they will leave. So you rewrite your feelings into something smaller. You try to sound calm. You try to sound unbothered. You try to sound like you do not care. That is self-abandoning. A safer move is short honesty without a long speech. "That did not feel good for me. I want to talk about it." Then stop. Fifth moment is when you want to step back. You want space, but you also want to keep the door open. So you rewrite a message that tries to protect their feelings and protect your hope. This keeps people stuck for months. If you are stepping back, do it clean. "I'm going to take space. If you want to reconnect later, it needs to be with clarity and consistency." That is enough. Now let us address a fear that stops people from texting clearly. The fear is, if I am direct, I will push them away. Here is the adult truth. If a bond can only survive when you stay unclear and careful, it is not a safe bond. It is a bond built on your self-silencing. So yes, asking for clarity can push some people away. But the people it pushes away are the people who could only keep you by keeping you anxious. That is not loss. That is clarity. Now, let us talk about what happens after you send the message, because this is where many anxious people go right back into the loop. You send it, then you reread it 10 times. You regret a word, you want to send a correction, you want to add context, you want to explain. Here is the rule that protects your dignity. Do not send a correction unless there was a factual error. Anxiety does not require correction. Let the message stand. If your message was respectful and clear, it is enough. If they misread a normal message, that is data about their mindset, not proof you should perform harder. Now, let us talk about checking, because rewriting and checking are cousins. You send the message, you check again, you check again. That is your body trying to end the alarm state. So you need one simple rule. After you send a message, do not stare at the thread. Pick one time you will check later and check once. If an hour feels impossible, do 10 minutes. Build the muscle. This is not about being perfect. It is about retraining your nervous system to tolerate uncertainty without grabbing your phone like oxygen. Now, I want to add a piece most people miss. Rewriting is often a way to avoid your own truth. You know what you want to say, but you are scared of what it will reveal. You want to say, "I need more consistency," but you are scared they will say they cannot. You want to say, "I want a real relationship," but you are scared they will say no. So you hide your truth inside casual messages, jokes, vague check-ins, and soft wording. Then you rewrite because nothing feels right, because it is not honest. The fix is not better casual wording. The fix is one honest sentence. I want something steady. Are you available for that? That sentence feels scary because it forces reality. But reality is what settles your nervous system long term. Not perfect wording, not a perfectly timed emoji. Reality. Now, let us talk about the kinds of people who trigger rewriting the most. People who are steady do not create this much panic. People who are consistent do not make you feel like one message could ruin everything. People who have basic emotional maturity can handle a normal question and a normal need. The people who trigger rewriting are often people who are unpredictable. They spike and drop. They show up strongly, then vanish. They are warm when it is easy and distant when it gets real. They prefer vague. They avoid clear agreements. They want partner benefits but avoid partner responsibility. When you are texting someone like that, rewriting becomes your attempt to survive. You become a mood manager. You become a tone manager. You become a self-editor. And slowly, you stop being yourself. So, part of stopping rewriting is not only about texting differently. It is also about choosing connections that do not require you to perform calmness to keep access. Now, let us say the hard truth that ends the rewrite loop for good. You cannot text someone into capacity. You cannot text someone into commitment. You cannot text someone into emotional maturity. You can only observe capacity and choose accordingly. That is why rewriting is so painful. It is you trying to control something you cannot control. So we replace control with something you can do. You set a standard. You send one clear message. Then you stop. You watch what happens. If they respond with care and steadiness, great. If they respond with vagueness, distance, or blame, you have information. Information is the opposite of anxiety. Anxiety grows in the unknown. Information gives your nervous system a place to stand. Now, I want to give you a simple practice that stops rewriting over time. When you feel the urge to rewrite, do not ask, "What is the perfect message?" Ask, "What outcome am I trying to force?" Most of the time, you are trying to force a reply, reassurance, closeness, or certainty. When you see that, tell the truth. I cannot force that with words. I can only communicate and observe. That alone reduces the compulsive editing. Because compulsive editing is a control attempt. When you stop trying to control, the compulsion weakens. Another practice is a one-edit rule. You write it once. You edit it once for clarity. You send it. You stop. If you cannot send it, that is your signal that you are activated, and you need to settle first. Now here is a final piece that makes a big difference in real life. Give yourself a time limit. If you cannot write and send a message in 2 minutes, you are not in communication mode. You are in panic mode. So you stop. You put the phone down for 10 minutes. You do one grounding action. Then, you decide again. This does not remove your feelings. It just stops your feelings from running your behavior. And if you want a simple rule for when you truly do need to say something, use this. One sentence, one purpose, one stop. One sentence that is warm or clear or practical. One purpose, not 10 hidden purposes. One stop, meaning no follow-up to soothe yourself. That is how you train your nervous system to trust you again. Now, let us address the fear your anxious brain will throw at you as soon as you try to stop rewriting. It will say, "If I do not craft this perfectly, I will lose them." Let me answer that directly. If you can lose someone because you sent a normal, respectful message, you were never safe with them. You were already living on thin ice. The goal is not to keep someone by becoming smaller and smaller. The goal is to be in a bond where you can exist. The goal is to be with someone who can handle a normal need and a normal question without punishing you. Now, we close with the simplest truth you can remember the next time you are staring at the screen. You do not need the perfect text to be chosen. You need a bond where you are safe to be human. If someone requires perfect wording for you to receive basic respect, that is not a bond. That is a performance. So the next time you catch yourself rewriting the same message 10 times, do not shame yourself. Treat it like a signal. My body does not feel safe. Settle first. Send one clear message for clarity, not for relief. Then stop. Let their behavior answer you. The goal is not to send the perfect message. The goal is to stop living in a relationship where one message feels like it could decide your worth. Welcome to PsychBond. You're safe here.